Can you even hear me?
Barely.
Okay. I'm filming in a hotel right now, and I waited for my parents to go out on a walk, so now I'm filming with my brother, and I'm trying not to be awkward. Yay! So we've been on vacation now for like 2 weeks, right? And there's always one thing that happens on vacation that's really, it just like it's interesting and it's a good story to tell. This thing happened 2 days ago, and I'm gonna tell you about it. So this is how my mom and I got stranded in the middle of a river. There was whitewater rafting, and then you could also do like canoeing and kayaking, and there were like these big inner tubes. Like not pool-sized inner tubes, but they were big enough, and they had like a net in the bottom so you could sit in them, put all your stuff in them and stuff. And we rented some of those because they were cheaper than everything else, and the river at the part that we were at was not like super bumpy and had rapids and stuff. So we rented some of those, and we were thinking, oh, this is gonna be such a good idea. And it was fun. But oh boy, there's a bug. Okay, so we are about to get on the river. The guy who was checking us in and like taking us to our spot where we were supposed to be dropped off was immature, let's say. I'm pretty sure he was like 30, and he acted like he was 19. And he couldn't stay on track, and then my mom like told me later that she thinks that he was like showing off or whatever, and so her and I both sat in the back, and we made my dad sit up front with him. But that's besides the point. The dude was just weird. It was weird. And so we went on the river, and there was like this windstorm that was blowing in. It was like 50, 55 mile an hour winds. So he basically lets us off and is like, hey, stay in the middle of the river and you'll be fine. So we're like, okay, whatever, they usually do that. I got out there first because I figured out that if I like laid kind of backwards and paddled with my feet, it would push me with the current, but then like also out into the middle. But my mom was the one who got stuck on the side like the entire time. She was stuck on this side, and we can't stop. The wind is blowing, the current is pushing us really fast, and so we couldn't stop. And so she was behind us for like the first hour, like behind us so far that we couldn't see, and she was on the edge trying to push off the edge for like an hour. So already she was really frustrated. For those of you who don't know me, I have a really bad fear of water and things in water and deep water. It's hard to explain because it's only certain bodies of water that scare me. But lakes and rivers are like, they're up there. There were really, really big clumps of, like, it looked like seaweed. Obviously it's not seaweed because it's not in the sea, but it looked like hair, and they were like they were so far up that they would touch the bottom of you. There were a couple points where I just like had to look up and start paddling because I couldn't look down. It freaked me out so much. Once my mom caught up to us, we were going down. It was not even like 15 minutes after she caught up to us. The bottom of the netting of my tube broke out, and these are not like small tubes where you can just, put your butt in the hole and sit there. No, like I was sitting like this in the tube because it was so big. So the netting fell out, and so I was like basically planking the entire time, trying not to get into the water because I was scared of it. First tube that broke was mine. The second tube that broke was my mom's. We went under this bridge, and the wind was blowing really hard, and so it was blowing hard, but it was worse under the bridge because it's a tunnel. It's worse. I don't know. My brother went over to help my mom because her inner tube was deflating. Yes, going flat in the middle of a river. And so he's like, okay, let me grab onto yours and we'll go through this bridge and then get to a shallower part. Because sometimes in the middle there were shallower parts with rocks and stuff. And so they get through the bridge fine. They're like kind of close to the edge because the wind is pushing them, but they were fine. They get to the middle, and I'm still back. I am now behind because the bottom of my thing broke out, and I'm scared of these weeds and trying not to touch them. And so I get into the bridge, and the wind starts pushing me backwards, so if I don't paddle, I'm literally going backwards, and the current is going forward, so it was strong. And then when I do paddle, I was just like staying in place, and so I was freaking out because I'm under this bridge, and there were these wooden posts that were sticking out, and I could see the top, but I couldn't see the bottom. It's dumb unless you have this fear. Like, it's really, really dumb to talk about, but it's scary. I could see these things. I was like near panic attack. Like, I was almost crying because I was stuck. I couldn't see anybody. I was stuck under this bridge. I couldn't get out. I was being pushed towards the side, towards the support beam of it, and there were these things under the water that I couldn't see. I eventually got out and was struggling. We get to the middle of the river. My mom's inner tube is now completely deflated. So we're like, okay, well, we're either gonna have to buddy up and go the next mile to the stop place, to the drop-off place, or like get some help. And we didn't know how to do that because we're like a mile from everything, and it doesn't seem like that much, but when you're in a river, it's kind of far. Thankfully, there were these three dudes in a fishing boat, and my mom didn't want to ask at first because she was super stressed out, and I was like, hey, you should go ask for their number. Not for their number.
You should go ask for their number.
You should go ask for for them to call the rental place to see if they can come pick us up. Well, we called about 3 or 4 times, and they didn't answer. So we were like, well, what do we do? So my brother took one of the tubes and went to go find my dad, who was now farther down the river because it's hard to stop again. So he was gonna go find my dad and try to float down farther and like get off onto a road or something and go find help. And so my mom and I are stuck back here with these 3 men in a fishing boat, and they were like, hey, we don't have enough room for both of you, but we can take one of you up to this highway up here, and you can walk to the other rental place and get have them help you like find a ride so you can return these. And I was like, well, I volunteered to stay in the middle of the river, and my mom was like, no, you can't do that, it's unsafe. So my mom got into the boat with her deflated inner tube, and I was pulled behind. These men gave me like this tiny rope. Like, I think it gave me rope burns because it was so small, but they pulled us behind. So now we're in the middle of the river with a deflated inner tube, and these fishermen, these random dudes, are pulling us to a highway. And so we get off into somebody's backyard. We have to walk through this field. And then once we get out of the field, we're on the highway. So I'm in a swimsuit. I was uncomfortable, to say the least. In a swimsuit, 2 inner tubes walking down the highway. It was great. We had to walk about 1/4 of a mile. It wasn't that far, actually. But it was just funny to be walking down the highway in a swimsuit with a deflated inner tube. So we get to the rental place, and we're like, we asked the competition to call the other rental to come pick us up, and it was embarrassing. So the dude the dude that was all weird and like came back, and he picked us up. My mom sat in the front because I was the one in the swimsuit, and I was like, no, that's uncomfortable. We get back, and we realize, well, my dad has the keys, so now we're locked out of our van at this rental place on the side of the road. So we waited out beside our car for like 30 minutes, and then the dude that was, weird, he was like, hey, you can sit inside if you want, and we're like, okay. And so we go inside, and we sit there for about 5 minutes, and then he was like, actually, you know what? I have a cabin in the back, and you can come sit on the back porch. So again, we were like, okay. And then we went back there and we sat and it was like next to the river so we could watch my dad and my brother pull up when they got to this drop-off place. We were sitting there and the dude was just like, it was so weird. It was so awkward. Because he was just like, my mom would start talking about something and then he would be like, he would talk about something completely off topic. Like, oh, you done riding? Are you done with your raft trip after that? My mom would be talking about, like, Wyoming weather or something, I don't know. He turned on his hot tub and was like, hey, if you're cold, you can get in the hot tub. And I was like, no, I'm okay. Even though I was kind of freezing. It was weird. It was uncomfortable. And then my brother and my dad finally show up. My dad actually misses the drop-off, and there was a stream that fed into the river. My brother got out, and then my dad had to walk up a hill on the other side of the stream and then jump across and throw his tube over. All in all, it was a chaotic day, but it was worth it. It was very much worth it. In the moment, sitting in the middle of the river with a deflated inner tube and all the creepy seaweed, like, woo! It was scary, but, I remember laughing with my mom on the highway, just being like, oh my gosh, this is so dumb. Okay, so my camera cut off. I think I'm on low storage, so I'll make this quick. I think I finished everything. I think I finished the story. Basically, it was just really fun and really eventful, and it was by no means the rental place's fault. It was just our, I wouldn't say bad, but it was just our interesting experience. So yeah, that's my story, and thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I appreciate you a lot. Yeah, thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.